Hey everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Done with Dieting Challenge. I am your host, Melissa Kathryn. I am a certified holistic nutritionist. I have a background in fitness. I'm a master hypnotherapist, a master coach. I specialize in reprogramming the subconscious mind, and I am a body intuitive. So, hi Kathy, it's so good to see you, honey. As a body intuitive, I've healed myself of cancer. I have many people seek me out all over the world to act as a medical intuitive and as an intuitive for them in their lives. And whether that's in career coaching, life coaching, you name it, I do it. I feel very, very blessed to be able to have that ability and that gift that I get to bring to all that I do. But it's especially supportive in this realm of the work that I do. So I hope that you guys are enjoying the challenge so far. Yesterday was an incredible first day. If you missed the video, what's up, Julie? Hi, Elizabeth. Everybody come in, say hello. I want to hear your biggest aha. You've now completed one full day, almost 2 full days of the challenge. What are your big ahas? What's been coming up for you? Please share in the comments below. Share while I'm talking, anything that's coming up. I go back and make sure to read everything and comment afterwards. As you saw yesterday, I do try to stay in my channeled flow as I go. But please ask any questions. I will make sure to answer and share. Share. Guys, we learn so much from each other. The women in my Queens group, the women that have done my Weight Loss for Life group, my Love Your Body, Lose Weight group, like they always talk about how much they love the community and how much they learned from the other women and how much they love hearing other women talk because they realize they're not alone. It's really isolating. So let's first I'm going to recap yesterday. And I also just want to spin off here in 1 second and just say, guys, the dieting alone is very isolating. And dieters are isolators. And I say that because the most damage that is done happens here. And it's with your food guilt, your food shame, your body shaming, your self-berating, feeling like a failure, and always being on a diet and then feeling like you don't want to talk about it because you lost the weight, then you gained it back, and you don't want to tell anybody else you're on another diet. You don't even want to tell your partner that you want to go on another diet because how many times have you yo-yo back and forth? And all this time you are really being quite unkind to yourself. The dialogue to yourself is that of you're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not deserving, right? And that any of these words that we speak are forms of self-rejection. One of the things that I primarily teach is when you're in self-rejection, you're not in connection. So you're not in connection to source. You're not in whatever your beliefs are. I'm not here to push religion. If it's God, for me, it's God. It's God's in all things. God's in you. God's in me. God's in all the things. But when we're in self-rejection, we're in our ego, and that's the mind. And the mind is never going to get you to where you want to be because the mind's only a construct of beliefs that you've created. And so if you find that all of the beliefs that you tell yourself aren't good and you're always trying to outthink yourself of where you are, you're stuck in your mind, which means you're stuck in a story of your own creation, which means you're also not in the story of who you want to be. You're stuck in a past creation of who you've been. And that's when we don't get to where we want to be. And that's why people hire coaches and do programs and challenges, because it's somebody else showing them what's possible. Because we don't know what we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. And this is why I've shared with you guys, you're all going to have an opportunity, and I'll share with you towards the end of the challenge what that can be if you want to continue on. But I want you to be here each day, regardless of that. I want you to be here each day and focus on what I'm giving you each day, because I'm here giving you 1,000%. And I just want you to give 1,000% back to you. to you and to commit these 5 days for yourself, because for so long you haven't been your own priority. Everybody else has. And you've been bottom of that list. And this is when we really get to go, okay, well, what would happen if I just made myself and put my energy and my focus into me taking care of me? So in yesterday's video, I covered a lot. Everybody was like, wow, how do you jam so much in such a short period of time? I'm like, welcome to my world. You ask my clients, they're like, what happened in this video? So there's a lot that happens. So that's why you have these videos. Please feel free to rewatch them. Yesterday's video is here. It was also sent to your email. So just a reminder to anybody that started the challenge today, please check your spam and junk folders. You do get emails from us. If you are having any issues with tech and you're not receiving things and you would like to receive emails, please, when you do, make sure to add them to your address book, but please email my team. They will get back to you right away. support@melissakathryn.com. They're amazing. They will get back to you right away. The other thing that I wanted to tell you is that we will keep these videos up for a few days after. So please don't stress. I don't want you stressed out. I want you to enjoy. The more you give, the more you'll get. Each day you receive a replay, and each day of the challenge you receive handouts. The handouts are also posted in this Facebook group, but they're also in your email. So you can download them, print them out, and have them for as long as you want them. Or you can put them on your computer or wherever you want them and use them as many times as you need. These resources can be used and printed. You could do the food and mood tracker and print out 7 copies of each and do one each day of the week, and really start to understand how the foods that you're eating are impacting your mood, and also understanding how you feel after your food. So I want to know from you guys, how was the food and mood tracker? How was that for you? And what did you find when you started, actually picking whether there was a smiley face when you were done eating, a tired face, right? Like, were there any ahas there? Let me know any questions that you had around that and the food and mood tracker, because I know that for my clients, that was a huge one when they actually did it, and they saw, how much their thoughts took up their day. So in reference, when, I've been doing this for 14 years, the overall percentage of thoughts that go to food thoughts and to your weight generally absorbs 62 to 76% of women's thoughts in a day. That means that her energy is not on herself. It's not on her family. It's not on her goals. It's not on money. It's not on achieving things. It's not on loving herself. It's on weight loss and food. It's on things tied to her body and her weight. 62 to 76% of her day is absorbed with those thoughts. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of life. That's a lot of life, right? Crazy. So you're going to see in the upcoming days, we're going to do an exercise where you identify the gaps and what's missing in your life. Now, today, what we talked about was what's up. Oh my God, guys, how is everybody doing? Is that Cheyenne? I hope I'm saying your name right. That's so beautiful. I saw Kristen in here, and Heather, and so many other amazing women that I know, and a lot of new women that I'm really excited to get to know. And like I said yesterday, you're also going to see Jennifer Smith. She is our master coach in our Love Your Body, Lose the Weight program. And you're going to see her in here supporting in this group as well. I know a lot of people aren't on Facebook, as we keep receiving emails, and you're watching it on YouTube and other things of that nature. Well, really only YouTube and in your email. So it's interesting. Social media is like fascinating. A lot of people are doing the Facebook detox these days. Okay, so the other things, let's get into it. So today was all about, what are you really hungry for? And I would love to know what you got from this. So this is one of my favorite things to teach. because it was one of the most eye-opening things for me. When I spoke yesterday, I shared with you guys the difference between two types of cravings, and that cravings are very rarely about the food itself, but they're often about our emotions. For any of you that didn't see it, I posted in here my Eat Right for Your Archetype quiz. You can take that quiz to find out which food personality type you are, whether you're a nurturer, a perfectionist, an avoider, or a rebel. And once you do that quiz, it's also going to give you guidance on the best way to eat, to thrive, and also help you understand your own cravings and your own creative being, and just kind of more about your personality and what makes you happy. It's really, really an awesome quiz, and it's off my international best-selling book, Eat Right for Your Archetype. So it's really, really cool. And it's going to be up for another 5 days if you want to do that quiz before we're transitioning it to something else. So I did put this in. It's completely free. It's not like anything. But if you did want to learn that about yourself, it's a really cool thing. I saw some of you were posting about that and a lot of women email me about that and enjoy learning that about themselves, because it gives a lot of insight into why you eat the way that you do. And you're just feeling why you feel the emotions that you feel, and why some things exhaust you and some things don't. So, the highlights from yesterday, let me go into that first. The highlights of what we talked about in yesterday's call was the difference between a heart craving and a head craving. Recap: a heart craving is from a lack of fulfillment. A head craving is from a lack of control. I gave you the specific foods that you'll crave for both, and what to do instead, and what that stems from. Heart cravings stem from a lack of fulfillment, as I said, and not feeling fulfilled in your job life, your career, your relationship, or your relationship to self. A head craving is often when you feel overwhelm, anxiety, stress, like you don't have enough time. You often say you don't have enough time, how busy you are. You're always talking about how busy you are. You're procrastinating, so you often eat foods where there's crunch. And the primary thing to do in that scenario is to take action. The primary thing to do when we have the lack of fulfillment and a heart craving is for you generally want decadent foods. And the primary thing for you to do is reach out for connection and to get out of isolation. I started off tonight's call talking about how dieters often live in a world of isolation. They're isolated with their thoughts. They live with a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. They live in their heads. They make themselves wrong a lot. They're often controllers. They love to have a diet plan. They need a food plan. They like to have a plan because they actually worry that if you take the plan away, that they'll go and raid a Dunkin' Donuts and we'll never see them again. Yes, that is a real fear. Maybe not Dunkin' Donuts, but that if you actually stop dieting, you would just eat all the carbs in sight and gain, like 50 pounds, and we would never see you again. And I hear that often. And I've heard that often over the years, and that's actually not the case, but, it's the heavy restriction. And I said this yesterday: where we restrict, we'll rebel. And the dieter lives with restriction. And she often lives in a world of extremes. And there's heavy restriction until she rebels, and then there goes into a downward spiral. Now, Sally had mentioned something interesting about losing the weight, and then she started to notice that it was coming back, and then it just became a downward spiral. And it started coming back after COVID. She saw a little bit she had gained, and then she went back to negative thoughts, and then it went down, right? And she had posted that in the group, so I'm not sharing anything that she didn't share outwardly. That is a prime example of not creating a new identity, which is what I talked about in my video in here. I touched on it yesterday, and I also talked about it on Sunday. And I talked about it yesterday, and we still do. I will link my podcast episode to a fit identity and give you guys those resources. But also just look up the Wholeness Podcast, and you'll see, I think it's like episode 58, I think. But it's about creating a fit identity. And so we often will gain the weight back or spiral back down when we haven't fully shifted into a new identity and relationship and to ourselves and to those scenarios. So if you find that you end up in a situation where you used food to soothe in the past, then if you lost the weight and weren't doing that, and then there ended up being a stressful situation or a hardship that happens in your life, you will then go back. See, the brain's set up for survival. So your brain will go, oh, okay, we don't feel safe right now. This doesn't feel good right now. What did we do the last time that it didn't feel good? How can we make ourselves feel better immediately? And then your mind goes ding, 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 eat something. That's when. Remember birthday parties when we were little, or holidays, or if in the case of my Italian family, food is love, right? So all of a sudden we get given food and we learn that's love. And then our mind equates, right? Your mind is set up for survival. It's not out to get you, but it only knows what you've taught it. So if you've taught it that when you're sad, food will make you feel better, then anytime you're sad, your mind is going to go eat something until we teach it a new way to soothe. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah? I hope it does. Okay, so let me know in the comments below, is there a food that you're thinking of right now? I want you to think of this. What is that go-to food for you when you're sad? That maybe it's on your bad food list. What is that go-to food that you go to when you've had a hard day or a long day, or you're sad or you're happy, but it's that food that you crave, that you want? Is it chips? Is it a brownie? Is it wine? Is it cheese? Is it charcuterie board? Is it a salad? Like, I don't know. What is that for you? Share below what that food would be for you. And I guarantee, share below that food. And then I want you to think about your first memory with that food. What is your first memory with that food? Because foods hold emotional depth to them. Their foods hold memory. And when you want to feel something, it's equated immediately with food, especially with your parents, especially if you grew up in a house that you loved or in happy times, whether it was being in college or with your girlfriends, or a memory with your partner, or when you were growing up around the holidays, like something my mom and I love tuna fish. My mom growing up, we used to make a tuna salad with little diced onions and celery. And we always used Miracle Whip, and we put it on rye bread with lettuce. And that's like our thing. And then we would watch, she used to love the soap opera, All My Children. And I used to watch this with my mom because I would have like half days at school, and my mom would work half day, and then I would like get to come home, and like that would be, it like wasn't all the time. Or we put in like half of the pita. But I remember, and to this day, I love tuna fish. And I make it with like little diced onion and blah, blah, blah. I don't use Miracle Whip anymore. I use avocado in place of Miracle Whip. By the way, that's a great thing to replace. Or I just use a little bit of olive oil, or I even like mustard, which is another great thing to replace for clean alternatives. And you can also do Greek yogurt. I just don't do a lot of dairy. I don't do dairy because I healed myself of asthma. I was saying yesterday, I'm not a proponent of taking food groups out, although dairy is one that I would take out if you are struggling with acne, asthma, or allergies. I would remove it, or gut issues, constipation in particular, or bloating. I would remove it from your diet for 7 to 14 days and see if it improves. I could almost put money 99% of the time that all of those conditions would. But on another note, I digress. So that holds a memory for me, and it makes me happy. So I love tuna salad. I also love tea. right? Tea reminds me of my mom. Earl Grey tea, that's like a thing. Biscotti, like there's certain things that my mom to a tea, and it brings me joy to a tea. So there's foods, right? And so foods hold memories. Just like music holds memories. Do you ever put a song on and you're like, oh my God, I'm brought back, right? And you could cry or you could laugh or you could like, right? And it's awesome. Food does the same thing. And I said this yesterday. When I had this ginormous moment for me, and I had talked about in my story how I gained the weight back after winning the International Natural Body Federation. I'm sitting on my New York City apartment. I actually am a nutritionist at this time, and I'm an ideal body coach. And I had literally just eaten my way back, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, but wait, it gets better. I didn't eat crappy food. I was like overeating. I never had like bulimia or anorexia, but I had disordered eating for sure. I definitely had what would now be deemed an eating disorder. At the time, those terms didn't exist. But I did the orthorexia nervosa of like, I'm just so healthy, I'm only eating air. And then I did, the chronic dieter, and I would overeat. We could deem it as a binge, but I never like threw up. But I would like binge on like protein bars, right? And like, and I'm like overeating, and they say like a binge is having like 2 or more of something, right? Sorry, somebody's trying to call me. And I'm like, I just ate like 3 Quest bars. Like 1, my stomach feels like I want to die from all the erythritol. And 2, why? Like I'm not even hungry and I feel sick. And I'm eating like 100-calorie brownie. Like I was like fake ice cream. You know what I mean? Like healthy ice cream. It was like crazy. But well, it wasn't crazy. I mean, I wasn't happy inside with me. And I had this big aha, and I said, I don't understand. I know how to eat. I know I went to school for this at this point. I've read all the things. I'm like obsessed with this. I'm like, love Ayurveda. I did Ayurveda. I'm like a breathwork practitioner. I'm a Reiki healer. I'm energy. Like I'm like doing all the things, right? And I'm like, but I'm not like, something's not missing, because I definitely, all I'm doing is obsessing about losing another 10 pounds. And then I'm sitting here and overeating. And worst part is I would rather be home with me and Netflix or whatever existed at the time. Netflix wasn't around yet. I'm making myself sound like I'm 100, but that's the way technology is going these days. I easily, it's crazy to me. I was talking to my niece, sidebar, I was talking to my niece the other day, and like, there was like a ringtone, and she was like, what is that? And I was like, it's a ringtone, like a phone. I'm looking at her and I was like, never mind. So like, I'm like, you're gonna have like a hologram for whatever you do. Okay. So anyway, I'm sitting there, I'm binging, I look, and I felt disgusting. Like I literally was disgusted with myself. It was a very, very low point. And it was my lowest point. And I saw what was going on, and a light bulb went off, and I realized I was in a relationship with food. And I talked about this yesterday. Food had taken on human form for me. I didn't need another diet. Why would I break up with my best friend, my then relationship, because I had gotten out of a long-term relationship at that time. And, I really missed him. And and so I remember, I was feeling really lonely. I'm in New York City. I had started, I was doing this job. I was also working full-time in fashion, and I felt like a fraud because I'm doing this, and I'm like, but I just gained all the weight back, and I'm like supposed to be helping people with this, and like something like I'm missing what I'm supposed to be teaching, right? And at the time I was doing my work very differently. But I'm sharing this with you guys because I need you to understand that you're not a failure and there's nothing wrong with you, but you keep going back to food because food and your weight has taken on a form of protection. So what are you really hungry for? Day 2 is about understanding what it is that you really want, because you don't want to spend your life dieting. And I know I wasted over a decade obsessing about my weight and about being perfect and about food and about the gym and about calorie counting and not calorie. And I was either hating myself skinny or I was hating myself fat. I was in a prison of my own making. I either was calling out fat from being social because I was like, I just don't even want to get dressed because I feel so, and I don't even want to put myself, and I don't even want to date right now because I'm so fat, right? And this was all in my mind, like body dysmorphia, but also I felt it on a visceral level. I felt this not enoughness so deep. Do you guys relate to what I'm saying? Does anybody relate to this? I felt it so deep, and food was this thing, but I found myself in my apartment in the West Village. I have a dream job, by the way, in the fashion. So you can have all these amazing things in your life. I cannot tell you the number of women that find me and say, this doesn't make any sense. I don't know why I'm not happy. I have an incredible husband. I have an incredible partner. I have incredible children. But I don't feel happy. And I don't know why. And I don't like what I see in the mirror. And I thought I did love me, but I'm sitting here crying and I don't, right? And so I say this because it's never about the weight, and it's never, another diet is never the answer. And I know this might sound really deep, and I know you might be going, I just wanted some weight loss tips, or I just wanted that. I am chock full of tips. You guys, you can all Google all the tips that you want. If it was that easy, you would just go read 10 weight loss tips, implement them, and be done with it. It's not that simple, or I wouldn't have a 14-year career on this very topic, right? It's because it's not that simple. If we all just needed more tips, you can Google, you can watch endless things. It's why aren't you doing them? And what is it that you really want? What is it that you're afraid to go for? What is it that you're wanting to feel? Do you see? What are you really hungry for? I don't care how much love you have around you if you don't feel it. It won't penetrate. That's why I have women that go through my programs and go, I now feel the love from my children. I now fully feel the love from my partner. I have chills, I could cry. And they're like, I now actually feel his words when he tells me or she tells me that they love me. I couldn't feel it before. Or I used to just kind of close off to her and go, oh yeah, I know you love me. And so I want to ask you, what are you really hungry for? Because I hid behind needing to lose the weight because I was afraid to start my business and play a bigger game in my life. I hid behind dieting. I always say diets are distractions, distracting you and taking up your energy, keeping you from living the life that you're meant to be living. They're a comfortable place to be. And this is why many women come, but they actually don't want to change because they're afraid. They want to so desperately, but the idea of doing it differently is out of their comfort zone. Because as crazy as this sounds, dieting has become your comfort zone. It's all you know. Lose weight, gain weight. Lose 10 pounds, lose 20 pounds. It's always on your New Year's list. You don't know a time when it hasn't been. Who's been there, right? Where it's always there. Or there hasn't been a time where you haven't sat there and gone, God, I wish I didn't eat that. Another night where I overate. And you sit and you obsess. So I say this because what are you really hungry for? When I said food takes on human connection, ladies, especially if you've had trauma, especially sexual trauma of any kind, weight becomes a beautiful protector. You don't get as much attention. You get to stay in your own little bubble. You don't have to worry about people's judgments or criticisms, especially if you had a judgmental parent in your life that criticized your body or criticized you. That's almost a way. I had a client where her weight was a big FU to her highly critical mother. She actually would eat and overeat. I mean, go to breakfast and order chocolate chip pancakes and a chocolate chip milkshake just to spite her mother, sitting there with her mother. And she would just sit there. And she didn't like the way she felt in her body, but she loved throwing that back in her mom's face as a big F you. She loves her mom, don't get me wrong. And she's great now. But we had to do a lot of healing and forgiveness work. And her weight became a way that she could just go, I don't need to conform to what you want. And it's my body and I get to do with it what I want to do. And if being skinny is going to make you happy, well, that's not what I want. So on a subconscious plane, we do a lot of things. And I cannot say this enough. It's never about the weight. If you struggle with for more than a year with your weight, you don't have a weight issue. You have a relationship with food and a lack of one with yourself. And I know that can hit home. And I know some of you might go, that's not true. Like, I like me. Do you look at yourself in the mirror when you are butt naked? And if you do, are you saying kind things? Or are you grabbing at your belly or looking at your thighs? Or do you not even look in the mirror? Do you shy away from you completely? What's your internal dialogue? And what is it you're saying? When you tracked your food and your mood, and when you ate, right? And you're gonna get even more tools with this. When were those times that you wanted food when you weren't the least bit hungry? And did you look at what your emotional state was at that time and ask yourself, what do I really need outside of food? It's never about the food. It's never about your weight. So what is dieting giving you an excuse? Or how should I say this? How is dieting giving you an excuse to not fully shine in your life? Because if all your energy is going to needing to lose weight, or as I said, 62% to 76% of thoughts go to food and weight loss for women, right? Statistically. Think of what would happen if you freed up that energy for you to thrive and to be happy, and what you could do with that. How much more present you'd be in your life. What would be the things that you would do? So I say this because this is a really important piece. Yesterday we talked about how awareness is the first step to lasting change. Well, we need to be aware, and then we need to understand where and how we relate to food and to our bodies, and look at the deeper components of what our relationship to food and how it's serving us and where it is filling our lives for us. Because we can't change if we don't know. It didn't matter that I got a trophy for best body. It didn't matter that I was 18% body fat with a six pack abs and I'm a fit model. Didn't matter because I didn't believe that was now my new reality. I didn't believe it. And I wasn't ready to let go of my trusty friend food. I didn't have anything in my life to replace it. Like, my life was full enough, but I didn't have anything to fill the loneliness. I didn't have anything that hadn't really filled that part in myself where I hadn't allowed myself to fully be me. I was still criticizing and rejecting me. So with every self-rejection, I turned to the food and ate. And then I turned to the food and ate. So if you have a pattern where your negative self-talk has you turn to food, where stress has you turn to food, where loneliness has you turn to food, where boredom has you turn to food, then you're going to be eating a lot more than what your body needs. Because if you were having fun, you wouldn't be eating. If you had a partner, you wouldn't be eating, right? And if your heart was happy, you wouldn't be eating. If you were lit up with your career, if you were fully connected, then food would be an addition to an already beautiful life, but it wouldn't be your full life. Do you see the difference? This is when my clients who go through my Love Your Body, Lose the Weight program see that defining moment where they shift in going out to dinner and it stops being about the food and it ends up being about the people. It stops being about Christmas, or it stops being about the holidays, right? And all the food. And I don't want to miss out because it's the only time in the year that I can ever get Aunt so-and-so's stuffing. It's like you can get stuffing any time of the year, right? But when our food is our focus, then the minute we go on vacation, it's like free for all, let's eat everything in sight. It's the holidays, let's eat everything in sight. And then you know that you're going to not like the way that you feel in 2 to 3 days' time. But it doesn't stop you because your focus is on the food. It's not on you. It's not on the people. That's a definer that shifts in my clients when they go, I've never had holidays like that before. I've never had experiences like this. Like I was so present. I didn't even eat when I was there. I just like nibbled. If I wasn't a hell yes, I was a hell no, which is a term we use in my community, right? And so I say that to you because when you guys really get into this, I really want you to dive deep in this handout. And I want you to share in the comments below, what do you already know? Like what ahas are happening for you as I'm talking? When you look back at the beginning of this video, in this training, in our day 2 here, I said, what are those go-to bad foods on your bad food list, which I hate that term, but you guys can all relate. When you're having a bad day, when something happens that you go to, that you just want to be with. Because those are the foods that you have a relationship with. And that's where we need to start to shift and go, what do I need instead? Remember the 4 questions from yesterday to ask yourself when these cravings come up, to really understand the difference in the head craving or the heart craving. Am I really hungry right now? What's going on in my life right now? Is food going to serve me or hurt me? Is this going to get me one step closer to my goal or one step further away? Because we know it only takes about 30 seconds to eat something and I'm still there with my feelings. So, or you get up and you go back to the kitchen and then 2 hours later you emerge feeling sick, wishing that you wouldn't have just done that and that you actually would have left the house and go for a walk, right? That you would have just gotten up and changed environments. You would have done something differently. I gave you examples yesterday that if it's a lack of control you're feeling and you want something crunchy, do one thing to take action. If it's a lack of fulfillment that you feel and you're going, I'm just not happy. I don't know who I am anymore. The kids left and I'm at a loss, or I'm changing careers, or I don't like my career, or my partner and I, or I'm divorced, or I'm getting separated, or I don't know. I want love and I never wanted it before and I don't even know what to do with that, or right, like whatever that is for you. Ask yourself, right, what is one way that you can feel connected today? To fill your heart, to get out of that. And so a few little tips that we can do in these scenarios, guys, is 1, we're animals by nature. Change your environment. Don't sit on your sofa trying to fight the urge to eat when all you've done is conditioned yourself, right? We're animals by nature. We love our habits. We're humans. We love our routines, right? As humans, we're animals. We literally, like, you come in, you sit in the same spot, you sit, and then your mind goes, well, where's our food? We usually eat TV. You eat TV. Yes, we usually eat the TV. We usually eat while we're watching TV, right? And so your mind will do that. Don't set yourself up for failure that way. Instead, get yourself in a different environment. Go to bed early. In my Ultimate Queens group, where we're doing a fitness challenge right now, a weight loss challenge. They're in a different space with this because they've already done my original Weight Loss for Life program. And so they're in a completely different place with food. But, we're really looking at like, okay, like you're done eating by this time and you're, and it's like a lot of them are finding like, hey, I'm noticing I'm ready for bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I end up just sitting up and overeating and it doesn't serve me. So I'm just going to go to bed. And it's like, yeah, well, you were tired anyway, right? And they're all loving it and they're feeling lighter and they're releasing weight and it's easy and they're not even changing anything with their diet, right? It has nothing to do with that. It was just, something. So we're doing something different in that group. But I share that with you because, there's changing your environment is huge. Going for an evening walk, getting just 20 minutes, just a 20-minute fresh air at the end of your day, going for a walk with yourself. Put me on, get on my podcast, right? Call a friend, connect with yourself, a walking meditation, fresh air, game changer, right? Journal, make a cup of tea, a cup of ginger tea, a cup of mint tea, do my weight loss drink, watch it on my TikToks or on my Reels, those are great things. 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 2 bags of chamomile tea, teaspoon of cinnamon, a little stevia or monk fruit, and a half of an organic squeezed lemon. That's a great evening drink to have 3 hours before bed, 2 hours before bed. You'll sleep like a baby. It helps to cut belly fat. These are things, but the bottom line is get out of doing the same thing. Don't try to stay in the same environment and pray for a different result because you haven't gotten there yet. And it's through the repetition of a changed behavior, which I go much deeper on in my programs, right? But it's through the changed repetition of a behavior that you actually change the behavior and thus shift your identity. So these are things that I want you to do, but today is huge. Please, please, please do today's handout and share below what you got from today's video. I love you guys. I am so proud of you. Get excited because tomorrow is going to be like, mind blowing. You are going to love it. Stay connected, stay active. This group is where it's at. Be in the group. Give as much as you get. Give as much as you want to receive. That's the law of reciprocity. Give as much as you want to receive. Comment, post, share, ask questions. I am here for you. Jennifer is here for you every step of the way. The more you give, the more you're going to receive, and the more you're going to help others. So share away. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm truly honored and blessed, and I can't wait to be with you for another day of the Done with Dieting Challenge. Thank you so much, and have a blessed and beautiful night. All my love, guys.